This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. You have a treat of two one-act plays at Whistendine Village Hall coming up later this week, both Friday and Saturday night. Menopause Madness and Sticky Situation. And the creator, Tracy Dean Powell, is sitting opposite me just here. Now, Tracy, this is, you. I suppose you're quite well known in Whistendine for your one-act plays, aren't you?
Well, I am. The plays that I've written, Sticky Situation and Menopause Madness, were written about 2 years ago. I come from a singer-songwriter background originally, so I've been a singer-songwriter for many years. And I ventured into script writing in about 2014 when my musical, Phantom Love, I worked with Catmus College.
I remember, Oakham. Yeah, about the World War I, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah, and we took it to Curve Theatre in Leicester. And such was the feedback and the wonderful comments that it actually spurred me on to take myself out my comfort zone and write comedy. So I did Wind of Change, a one-act play, and produced that and performed it at Whistendine Village Hall in 2016, 2 years ago. And again, I had such wonderful feedback and comments. People really enjoy my work that I thought, well, actually, as a writer, now I'm getting a reputation of producing some good work. So this year, I thought I'd do two one-act plays, so the whole evening's all about my work. Sticky Situation is based with a group of WI women. And they go into a baking competition, and the winner of the baking competition goes into a business as a business partner with the celebrity chef. So it's a little bit like the Bake Off meets The Apprentice.
Yeah, very tongue-in-cheek kind of, I can imagine, yeah.
And it's the cast are so very, very funny. Their timing and delivery of the lines, and I had tears rolling down my face at the last rehearsal. They're very, very funny. So Sticky Situation is one of the plays. The other play is called Menopause Madness. Now, as a writer, I've tried to, again, push myself into other limits, if you like, and see if I can actually look at something serious and raise some serious issues, but whilst under the genre of comedy. So menopause, obviously, many women go through what they call the change. A lot of symptoms affect women and devastate lives, really.
Yeah,
so,
it is the biggest change, really, that they'll face in sort of, midlife, as it were.
Yeah, and the, going through the funny 50s myself, I can relate to a couple of these characters. And so while I wanted to bring this serious vein into the play, there's huge injections of comedy and humour that cut through. So keeping it very light, but dealing with these serious issues at the same time. Now, I introduced in Menopause Madness a transgender character. And Simone, who is the character, is a very confident character. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to see, as a writer, if I could introduce a character that was vulnerable. So bringing vulnerability into the play. There's times when I think we've all been in situations of vulnerability, whether or not it's because you deem to be different or you do something different, and that can bring you as a target maybe for bullying. And so what I've tried to do as a writer is introduce this transgender character, to raise awareness for transgenders, but also to introduce this concept that no matter how self-opinionated one can be and how sort of strict you are on your thoughts, that there is never any room for personal bullying. So the audience hopefully will go away having had a cracking night of humour and laughter, but with the little message coming through that actually, there's never any room for personal bullying, no matter what the situation. Now, I'm very lucky to have Katie Neves play the role of Simone, because Katie is a transgender woman.
And she's facing these issues.
She is indeed. And she's amazing. She's a business lady. She is a professional photographer and filmmaker, and in fact is been nominated in the East Midlands Awards for her transgender ambassador work, because she's helping many people, families where they've got family members going through transition, or people who are going through transition production themselves. So Katie, I approached initially to come and oversee just a couple of rehearsals because I'd seen a video log that she'd done, and I said, "Oh, Katie, would you mind coming in and just making sure that I don't do anything that is insensitive or inappropriate in any way, because if I get things wrong in this play, then all my reputation of all my good work will go out the window, and people will only remember the bad things that, this, if I did say anything wrong in this play. So it's really important as a writer I get it right." So I said to Katie, "Would you just check things for me?" She said, "Absolutely. Yes, no problem." So because she responded so positively and so quickly, I thought, I'm on a roll here. I'm going to really push my luck now. I'm going to say, "Katie, do you fancy actually being part of it and acting?" And she said, "Well, I've never acted before, but yes, I'll give it a go." So hence we've got this transgender actor playing this transgender role, and bearing in mind the controversy that happened in Hollywood, where they, which would have been a problem for us had we had a straight actor play the role. We've now, I think, probably got a first for Rutland. I don't know, but we've got a transgender actor playing a transgender role, and hopefully, who knows, it may open the doors for other theatre companies to say, "Well, yeah, we're going to look at having work and productions that involve a transgender actor," which will be great.
And you're raising money for the Matt Hampson Foundation, which obviously is a cause local and close to many people in this area.
Absolutely, yeah. Matt is such an inspiration. Anyone who's met him can't help but be blown away with his enthusiasm and his just upbeatness. So, yes, we're raising money for Matt and the Whistendine Village Hall. So all the ticket sales, all the bar money or the raffle money, it's going to be split between Matt and the Village Hall. It's a lovely cause. I mean, the foundation, the work that they do, and his message of hope, I think that's the main thing that comes out with Matt, that no matter what happens in life, he injects that hope. So you're met with these challenges and these problems, but he's that helping hand, that no, don't give up. There is always a reason to carry on, and that's his message, which is just so powerful.
So it's Friday and Saturday night.
Yep.
You'll see both plays if you go along.
Yeah.
And how much are tickets and where from?
Right. They're £7.50 or £7 for concessions. It's at Whistendine Village Hall next Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th at 7:30. There's a licensed bar from 7 o'clock. If people want to get tickets, then it's very easy to do. They can contact me. My mobile is 07955 21 33 29, and email tdp.music@btinternet.com. So yeah, there's various ways of getting tickets.
And we've got those details on the Rutland Radio website as well. Tracy Dean Powell, lovely to see you again. Nice to hear about your latest venture, and how fantastic to have something groundbreaking in the county. Not for the first time, but isn't that fab that we're hearing about that?
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Rob.
Rutland Radio.
Wednesday morning on Rutland Radio. Delighted to welcome back Ian Ferguson from the Stamford, Gilbert and Sullivan Players. You can tell it's autumn when certain things happen, Ian, and this is another thing that we know when it's autumn, because of course it's your week for the Stamford Corn Exchange next week.
Yes, that's correct. It's opening a week today, on October the 10th. The Gilbert and Sullivan opera that we've chosen this year, Rob, is Patience. It's one of the lesser known ones, but it's an absolutely delightful work. It's an opera that contains all of the usual ingredients of Gilbert and Sullivan, which is fun, humour, and with Patience, delightful music. It's the sort of music that people will say, "Well, I don't know it," but when they hear it, they will know it. And it's a lot of very nice dance music and ballet music in it. And it's some 11 years since we've done Patience, so we thought it was time to have it back on the stage again.
And I know previously you've also had some guest younger performers. Is that something that's happening this time?
Yes, we've rather than guest younger performers, we've actually recruited. We've got 5 people on stage who are under the age of 16, and they bring a lot of enthusiasm and liveliness to the show. That's boys and girls. We've also got a new lead soprano who is aged 25, and Sophie Hurst, who is absolutely quite delightful. And
who a lot of people would know from singing on streets in our area, in churches. She's given a lot of concerts herself.
Yes, that's right. Has her own website, and she's the part of Patience, which is a young, innocent dairymaid. She portrays that beautifully and in her own way, and we're very, very proud to have her with us.
And could you give us a synopsis without giving anything away that may spoil things?
Well, yes. I mean, it's. The whole feature is this was a skit, if you like, on what was going on in London at the time in the 80s, when is a satirical commentary, I think would be the best way of saying, on the aesthetic movement, which was fashionable in the Oscar Wilde days in London in the 1880s. And the fun of it is that when it was fashionable for men, rather than to have short back and sides and be all smart and upright and be in the army and so on, it then became fashionable for men to be poets and have long hair. And of course, all the ladies of the day decided to cast off the upright Dragoon Guards, as we will be, and go after these poets with long hair and who were sort of swooning everywhere. And so the fun of it is, if you like, how that manifests itself. And the gag really is this amazing contrast between the fashion items, if you like, of these young men and the Dragoon Guards, who say, no, we're military chaps and we jolly well expect you to be after us. And that all pans out happily ever after in lots of ways. But of course, I always say, for people who like people watching, and most people do, then this is a wonderful opera, because you can see these contrasts of styles. So, and I think probably if we think back over the 137 years since this opera was first performed, we can all think of where fashion takes over, and people sort of either reject the fashion or they go along with the fashion, and you get these contrasts of how people work out. So that's, without going into detail because there wouldn't be time on the programme, but that's the sort of basic fun of it.
So it's almost the tradition compared to the arty types,
yes,
as it were.
That's right. Yes, that's right. And in fact, at the time, it was thought that Patience wouldn't be successful because fashion doesn't last very long. But of course, the contrast, you could relate it to any era where there's been a change in fashion.
So if you'd like to go and see Patience from Stamford GNS, it opens a week tonight. Tickets from Stamford Corn Exchange, as always.
Yes, Stamford Corn Exchange, a box office, telephone number 01780 766 455, and we open on Wednesday the 10th, every night till the Saturday the 13th. 7:30. Saturday the 13th is an earlier start at 6 o'clock, which people have found they quite like, that being too late.
Ian Ferguson, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio, talking about Stamford's Gilbert and Sullivan Patience, which begins a week tonight. And as always, a live orchestra as well as part of the
live orchestra, yes, indeed, yes. 15-piece orchestra who play beautifully.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
So I'm Chris Gatfield, and I'm the registered manager of Dove Cottage.
And the Lantern Walk a week on Saturday. Now, you can't fail to have seen the blue posters around and the banners all getting ready for this at Oakham Castle. And this is really chance for local people to enjoy the sights of Oakham and to put something back to our local hospice, because this is as local as it gets, really, for the county.
That's right. I mean, we're really excited, first of all, to be in Rutland. You might know we started in Melton Mowbray, 20-odd years ago. We always used to have people from Rutland, but it was such a long way for them to travel. We always had a heart to do something in Rutland for Rutland people. But until a couple of years ago, we just didn't have the money to do it. Thanks to a very kind gentleman leaving us a legacy, we were able to open up, as I say, 2 years ago now. And it's going really, really well. We're open just 2 days a week. We're nearly full. the people that come, they just love it. They benefit from it. The families have some respite. They have a day off a week. People call it their Dove Day. But of course, we do need support to keep this going. So we're holding a big lantern walk. It's our big first event in the Rutland area. So it's at Oakham Castle on Saturday, the 13th of October. And we're trying to make it a real fun family event. We've aimed it at 3 miles, so little ones, oldies, babies and grannies can come along, probably manage a 3-mile sponsored walk. Oakham Castle is a beautiful venue, so it'll be starting there. The walk starts at 6, but we do have a pre-walk party from 4:30. So there'll be lots of fun and games and music, and I can just imagine you all now congering round Oakham Castle, all to raise money for your local hospice.
And the lantern side of things, it's not going to be flaming torches. It's lights within, a lantern which you get presented with before you walk.
Yes, that's right. I'm afraid health and safety wouldn't allow us to have real candles nowadays. But no, we've got some lovely blue paper lanterns, blue being the colour of our charity logo, and inside would be an electronic tea light. So everybody will be given a lantern as part of their registration. And at the end of the walk, everybody will get a certificate as well, saying they've done it for Dove.
And actually, that sea of blue lanterns walking off, isn't that just got to be the most beautiful view?
It should be, shouldn't it? Because it would be dark, won't it, by 6 o'clock in October?
Indeed, in just a few.
So I think it'd be very exciting. I think children especially would be excited to be out in the dark with their lanterns, walking around the beautiful town of Oakham.
Now, I know you would love people to sign up as soon as they can, because, you'll know exactly for numbers, apart from anything else, and numbers of lanterns. So what's the easiest way to do that?
There's various ways people can register. Probably the easiest is to go online at www.dovecottage.org, or they can ring the hospice at Ridlington or the hospice at Stamford.
And registration fees?
Registration fees, I'm afraid people have just missed the early bird discount. So it's adults are £12 and children are £5. But all the money raised will be going towards improving, extending and maintaining the services at the Rutland Hospice of Ridlington.
I hope you're free. It's Saturday the 13th of October, 4:30 start in the castle. The walk will start at 6, and a 3-mile route around the county town.
That's right, yes. Yeah, very exciting. I'll be doing it myself. I haven't walked the route yet, so I'm looking forward to it.
Lovely to see you at Rutland Radio today, and thanks very much for talking to us about this. So literally just get some people that that would like to do this. And it's a great community thing, isn't it, a walk? Because you've got time to talk and relax and reflect and look around and actually raising some money for charity at the same time. Yes,
definitely. We welcome as many people as possible. I'd love to see 200 people down there. We're not there yet. So every person, every family that gets involved will make a difference to us. So please come along. Oakham Castle, Saturday 13th of October.
And the pre-walk side of things, you want a real kind of party atmosphere. You want people to join in and be, you were saying to me, almost like a kind of bonfire night toastiness, really.
Yes, that's right. I can imagine everybody standing there, holding their hot soup and eating their sausages while they listen to music, and we'll probably have some silly games on for the children. We've got somebody doing glitter tattoos, all sorts of things. We've got a teddy tombola. We're launching our new cookbook that has just been made for Rutland. Rutland people have supplied Rutland recipes. Hot food and drinks will be available. There'll be a warm-up, and the Lord Lieutenant has kindly agreed to come along as well. So it'll be really exciting, and the more the merrier.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. Now, this weekend is something that I didn't realise when we first talked about it will become an annual event. We're talking about the Musicathon, and Harriet Flather is leading it. Now, last time you tried to you invited lots of people that you knew, music-wise, and you almost played the whole thing yourself as well.
Yeah, that's right. It was 6 hours. We had 50 musicians, over 50 musicians actually, and we had 200 people through the door, which was above and beyond my expectations. We also raised almost £900, which was, I mean, just incredible. I still can't quite believe it.
And it was the start of your pledge, really, to raise as much as you could to help dementia.
Yes, yeah. So last year was the launch of my campaign to raise £5,000 for Dementia UK. So far, the total is about 1,500. So I'm hoping that this Saturday can really boost it.
And again, it's 6 hours of live music that kind of follows on from each other. Tell us who's involved.
A lot of new faces. So we've got the Rutland Big Band are back actually this year. I will be playing again. We've got the Oakham Show Choir, Jordan Poole, Rebel Soul are playing, I think, maybe their third or fourth gig. And yeah, lots of others. I can't remember them all off the top of my head.
And it's a chance really for people to just drop into Oakham Castle and enjoy a bit and donate some money. Absolutely,
yeah. There's no tickets. You just drop in, drop out. You can stay for as long as you like. But yeah, donations are obviously very welcome.
And as far as if people can't get there on the day, obviously it'd be brilliant if they can. But if they can't, you can actually pledge online to help your cause.
Yep, yeah, I've got a Just Giving page. If you Google £5,000 for Dementia UK, it should pop up.
That's a bold thing to have been started doing. This obviously is something that's personally close to you.
It is, yeah. I don't quite know where the 5,000 figure came from, but I'm excited to get there. No, my grandmother had dementia, and I know that as a family, if we had even really known that Dementia UK existed and all that they do, we would have benefited hugely.
We look forward to seeing a whole load of live music in Oakham Castle. I mean, what a venue as well.
Oh, it's amazing. I love playing there. When I play the harp there, I sound so much better than at home.
And it's harp for you this week, because I know you have a variety of instruments you could draw on.
Yes, it is harp. I'm doing a set in the morning and then a set in the afternoon, all about my grandmother actually, and then playing with a friend later on, and then I will also be playing saxophone with the big band.
Harriet Flather, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio again. So the Musicathon is back this Saturday between 10 and 4 and raising money for Dementia UK.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
My name's Mrs Munson Pike and I'm a primary school teacher at St Gilbert's and I am science leader.
And this new science quality mark that you've got, how does it actually come about in terms of it's obviously a great thing for the school. How do you actually get to that point?
We had to work very hard to look at all areas in science throughout the school, resources, lessons, and staff training for science. And we looked at where we were at the beginning of the year and where we wanted to be by the end. So all the staff worked tremendously hard to achieve points on our action plan in order to achieve the quality mark.
And it was all about making science more accessible across everything, really. As part of everything.
Yes, it was more about branching out in science, improving lessons, making them more interactive, more hands-on and creative, and crossing over into other subjects as well, such as art. So, for example, doing bark rubbings in art to link to the science and looking at the outdoor area, looking at natural materials around the school, and also linked into English as well through things like poetry.
It's almost like, I suppose, in a way that it's becoming part of all the lessons in terms of it's part of it without people realising almost.
Yes, it is. I think it's made everybody feel really sort of chuffed to get the award. And I've been in and out of lessons and seen some amazing things going on. There was some work on digestion down in year 3-4 where they were squishing bananas through tights and trying to show the children how the digestive system actually works. So yes, I think everybody's really inspired and very happy with the results, and yes, it's inspired them to move on and do more exciting lessons.
Rutland Radio.
But Private Parts is on tonight with Jamie Lang, Francis Bull from Made in Chelsea. Your first time in Stamford?
First time, yeah.
It's my second time. I've been here before, but someone had to remind me we were sitting in a pub.
Because he was really drunk.
No,
so.
not because I was really drunk. It's because I was sitting in a pub and I was like, I'm sure I've been here before. And then this nice guy, who his dad actually owns the gym around here we went to. We haven't been to the gym ever together. But he said, you went to a nightclub here once. So apparently I've been here before. So I love it here. It's great.
Now I'm trying to think of which gym, but I'm thinking it might be Rhinos then. It might be Nick.
No, it's Fusion.
Fusion.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Everyone in there was a lot more musclier than Francis.
Well, no. Hey, I'm lean.
Lean is at least a good place to be.
Yeah, very good place to be.
No, trying to make weight for a fight, so I got to. Yeah.
So tell us about this show. Have you kind of found yourself in this show almost from kind of doing all your podcasts and stuff?
Yeah, I guess we, started doing the podcast 18 months ago now, and we kind of had this idea that we would do something on tour. Like, I don't know, we didn't really know what it would be, and then he
was thinking more like Dream Boys. That's what Francis was.
For Jamie wanted to do Forbidden Nights. So.
Yes, yeah. All coming to the Corn Exchange soon, but tonight is really, I suppose, a window on your characters.
Yeah.
That people have seen on TV that they've grown to kind of.
Yeah. It really is, and there's a lot of stuff in there that is that we probably shouldn't have put in there, but it's in there, and now it's done, and we can't go back because we'd have to relearn a whole new script.
And Francis and I have been friends for so many years. We made each other laugh the entire time as we thought, and we do our podcast together, Private Parts, and so we then sort of wanted an adaptation of that. Take it on tour. Francis has always done stage. I've always done stage, and this was our opportunity to kind of give it a whirl. And so far, our first night was Loughborough last night. It was really well received, and we loved it. And we're now in Stamford tonight.
And it was obviously a great, a great opportunity to test the water at the Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe. And we actually had a 3-night sellout run of shows up there. And I couldn't tell you what a buzz it was to actually perform to such a great reception. So it was really nice, and Loughborough was a great way to kick things off, and I couldn't think of a better place to do our second show than Stamford.
Absolutely, yes. So now you've kind of had a run at it.
Yeah,
exactly. Stamford gets to see the polished product.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Nothing but the best for Stamford.
Which is very exciting.
As everyone in Stamford is, very happy with the very best, I think. So.
So your impressions of the town, then, what would you say?
I love the architecture. It's sort of a mixture of Georgian and I guess what would be
a lot of Georgian. Yes, we have a Georgian festival every.
Tudor.
We had such a nice time. We went walking down by the river just now, and it was such a nice shot. We asked some walker by to take a photo of us because we looked like a couple on. It's such a nice place. We really like it here,
And even though we have looked like a couple, people have been very friendly. So obviously, if you are a gay couple and you want a nice, friendly place to move to, Stamford's.
Stamford is the one. Stamford is it.
Stamford would fit that bill, I think.
And how is it for you two, having over the last few years kind of grown up on telly, really?
Do you know, I guess we were speaking to someone in the pub about this, and it is strange because now it's coming up to sort of 8 years.
Yeah,
we've been on,
and it's been
TV.
all of our 20s have sort of been on television, but I think it doesn't really.
It kind of feels it. Obviously, it was a strange and unique thing to experience, in the early days, and it was very different. Now it's something kind of that's become normalised about it in our lives. But
Francis is now addicted to the fame. He really loves
Jamie
it.
is definitely projecting there because he actually gets a little endorphin rush every time someone recognises him. If someone looks at him in a restaurant, we'll be like, do they just recognise?
When Francis heard we were going to be on the radio, he honestly got very excited. He was like, "Oh my god, here it is! I'm still famous." That's how it's.
This is why I'm here.
No. Do you know what we were walking around Stamford, and Jamie was just like debating whether he was still famous enough. And this is I'm not telling any word of a lie. He was actually saying, but I don't know if it's just people just don't care as much about famous, or am I still as famous as I thought? It was quite amusing. But
this is what you're going to see on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are free tonight, 8 o'clock, at the curtain up. I know there's just a few tickets available if people would like them.
Yeah, please do come down. I think where there are a few tickets left, which you can either book on the website, or you can, if you want to take your chances and walk up. There's
And it's going to be great. And we've got loads of things. There may be a little bit of nudity if you are excited about that. There's going to be some sweets given out. There's going to be some audience participation. There's going to be everything. It's going to be a really, really, really
Don't give
great
it
show.
all away.
I've just told the whole show.
Yeah.
But come down. Yeah, we can't wait to see that.
Thank you.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
I'm Claudia Fiocchetti, and I'm a conservator. Specialize in wall painting and stone conservation. I'm an accredited member of ICON, that is the Institute of Conservation. And I'm working on this project in St. John called Overton, on this lovely project of wall painting, medieval wall painting. They are dated by Tristram on the end of 13th century. They have been discovered sometimes. We don't have, unfortunately, any record, but we know that Tristram worked on them in 1927-28, and he published some drawing in a book in 1950, and has many other medieval wall painting that he worked on. They were treated with a heavy layer of wax, which caused few problems, including they just became so dark because the wax attracts so much dust that were impossible to see. But the main problem of this painting was that they were very unstable. They were completely detached from the wall. In many places, the plaster was just failing. And so that was my first intervention in July, just to consolidate and grouted them on the wall. And now I'm cleaning them, taking off the most I can of the wax layer, but also taking off a lot of the old lime wash, because they have been covered up probably from the Reformation time, and sometimes in the past someone discovered them. But what they did, they uncovered only where they see the outline, the red line mostly, leaving, cover the rest, because it's a painstaking job anyway. So I'm doing this in this phase. And also there was few different kind of repairs that belong to some intervention we don't have any record of. And most of them, they were covering up a quite large amount of original painting. So I'm taking off them too and reinstating what is original and repair what is lost.
And how unusual is it to have something like this, dating from the 13th century in a church that wouldn't have been built very much longer before that? Well,
it's quite unusual only because there was the Reformation, because it was normal to have, painting on the wall. In medieval time, for example, where people weren't educated, so was the wall painting that really teach them some of the Bible or saint or history or stuff from church. So it's not really unusual. It's unusual because the Reformation destroyed or covered up all of them. So it's quite an important thing to have, something like that. Even if it's, not complete, it has some damage, but it's telling us a lot of things. So it's quite a precious thing to have.
So in a way, it's as important as, say, a stained glass window, and tells a similar kind of story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that was exactly the same function, to be honest. Yes, and. We don't know even if there is some more, to uncover, because there is no record who uncovered them. So if has investigated anywhere else in the church or not. So for now we are happy about them.
Excellent. Thank you very much for explaining more about it. So how long are you expecting to be on this project?
Well, I will be another week. I have been here 5 weeks now in September, and I will finish the first week in October. And I have been working something like 10 days in July to do the main emergency phase, because there was other job around the church, like pointing out the outside wall and stuff like that. So I need to stabilize the plaster before all other vibration were going on in the church.
Rutland Radio.
Okay, I'm Peter Rycroft. I'm the project coordinator.
I'm Rudy Ike. I work with Peter and mainly raising additional funds.
Now, it feels a bit odd to be in a church like this as a building site. The scaffolding is still going up. There's all kinds of work being done. What stage are you currently at?
Okay, we're at the beginning of the delivery stage. So 2 years ago, we applied to the lottery fund with a plan of what we wanted to try and achieve with the church. They liked what we wanted to do. English Heritage visited, identified that the church was almost unknown to them and it had a number of features which were unique. And so Lottery Fund kindly gave us £20,000 to do a lot of survey work to see exactly what was required and to build, to flesh out our plan. So we employed an architect, and Mark directed the survey work. We then put that together and resubmitted to Lottery Fund in the back end of last year with a full plan, fully costed, tenders approved and sorted. And they agreed, so we could continue. So in about the end of May, with the church's faculty permissions as well all in place, Lottery Fund awarded us £218,000 to continue the work. So that's where we are now. We're now putting into play the plans we've made for the last 2 years, adjusting them as we go, because as no plan survives first contact. But no, the scaffolding's going up now. We've completed some work on the south wall with repointing. And as you can see in there, Claudia's been working now for about a month now on the medieval wall paintings, revealing and preserving them to make sure that they're not damaged during the work that's ongoing in the church.
This is quite a significant church, isn't it, actually, in the landscape?
Yes, I mean, it's a very high point here, and the church is quite old, so it's a big feature of the village. Yeah. And
I suppose it's your only kind of community place as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Culdoban is not a big place. I mean, I think there's 35 houses. I mean, every time we count, they change. And we're getting a bit of infill now, so there's a few more families moving in. And that made a big difference for us because the families wanted a community space, and there is nothing else. There's no pub. And we've got a farm shop down the end of the road, and we've got the garden centre, which is both great facilities, but it's not somewhere you can meet up and have a barn dance or something. So one of the ideas was that when we redid the church was to introduce that community element and use it more as a facility. Otherwise, it gets used twice a month, apart from visitors. So one of the main sort of community-focused features is to remove most of the pews, give us an open space, replace them with beautiful oak chairs, reorder the church slightly and bring in some of the pews more back up into the chancel where they used to be, and provide us with an open space. So this end will be focused on worship and the church, and that end will have a dual purpose really of when we fill the church at Christmas and the big festival services, which we do, but other times we can move the chairs around, have a service in the round or have a concert all down that end of the church and make a lot more use of it. And if the ladies want to do Pilates, or if we ever get children that small, we can run a nursery or whatever we wanted to in there.
And you want to put toilets in, you want to put a kitchen in as well as part of this?
Yes, in the community space there will be a toilet installed and a small kitchenette where you can use it for cooking and heating up facilities. So Yeah, it widens the use of the church because of that.
So you're on your way with the building work and I suppose restoration work to a large degree. Is today really about getting the message out to local people that you're doing all this?
Yeah, it is. It's a huge thing. I mean, the lottery fund. I mean, all the lottery players around the country, get their ticket every week, and their money goes into the lottery fund and the good causes. We're one of those good causes, and that should be celebrated. And it's an opportunity for us to say thank you to all the lottery players and to the lottery fund, and to a lot of other people, other charitable trusts who donated a lot of money on top of the lottery money to help us pull this off and preserve this incredible piece of architecture for the future and make it a really worthwhile asset to our village.
And if anyone wants to drop a cheque in, that's fine as well, because someone did last week. Yeah,
absolutely. We've had one visitor who was incredibly generous. But no, people are welcome to come and see what's going on and see what you can do. It was a very daunting thing to take on. It's a huge thing. The responsibility of a project of this size to be run by the village is massive, albeit with the guidance from our architect. But it's when you're dealing with a church that's built in 1250, it throws some surprises at you now and again. And then you've got all the modern rules and regulations, health and safety, protected species. I mean, we've got 250 pipistrelles living in here with us, and they have to be looked after, which is why we're going to work through the winter, because they won't be here. But we're having to make provision for those as well for the future to make sure they're not disadvantaged. We're opening an extra door behind you there, so that the church will have 2 entrances and exits. So that means people can then come and enjoy the bats, those who wish to do so, by staying overnight in the church or glamping or whatever you want to call it. Which is great. The more we get out of the building, the better.
So, how long before you reach a stage where you've completed what you need to complete?
Well, the church will stay open the whole time. We don't intend to try and close it. So I reckon probably May next year, May, June next year will be done. And then hopefully we're going to have a big service to sort of celebrate the fact that it's all over and done with, and look forward to many years of the church not being such a massive burden on the village, because with only a few houses, just the cost of keeping a vicar and our sort of parish share, if you like, is a huge load on the village, never mind trying to restore a building of this age.
And it is an amazing, inside. I mean, you see, some of it looks like what you might call one of the traditional churches around this area. It's that kind of theme as some of the smaller Rutland villages, for instance, but actually having the medieval wall paintings and that kind of thing uncovered, that must be incredible actually to be part of.
Yes, I mean it's been known to the village that there's been wall paintings, but nationally they was not aware. So when we did all the surveys here, some of the organisations were quite surprised to hear that we had wall paintings there. And with the restoration taking place now on the wall paintings, they're really coming out in colour and they look very, very nice. So. And underneath the old plasterwork, we ask ourselves whether or not there's more paintings to be revealed, but at this stage we're just preserving what we can see, so very happy with that.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Mrs. Howson, Key Stage 2 lead, and I also coordinate eco in school as well.
So we're here in St Gilbert's garden area. I suppose actually this could easily just be, say, a grassy bank with a pathway next to it.
Yes, which is how it started out a number of years ago. We used to have a swimming pool and then it was just dead wasteland. So we decided in preparation for the Queen's Jubilee that we needed to do something to mark that occasion and make the school more use of the school ground, better use. So we decided to involve the children on developing an area that they would like to come in and learn and use in playtimes, an area for quiet reflection as well, which with our Christian ethos, it was very important to us. So the children came up with plans initially, and from those plans we picked out areas which we would like to develop. We had builders in, they sort of lay the ground, as it were, and then we've sort of built on it year on year. So now we have vegetable patches, we've got flowers growing, we have a pond, we have a quiet reflection area, and the children can come into this area during playtimes, lunchtimes, and they use it within their learning as well. Science, English, it crosses across the board, every subject. The children absolutely love it. It's an ongoing project. We're developing it year on year with new ideas, but always from what we always listen to the children and then try to implement the children's ideas. We've also seen a beautiful mosaic on the wall, and that was part of our Arts Week, and the children designed that, and every child in school has been part of placing a few mosaic tiles onto that. So it's amazing. It just brings the whole community together. We have our green days, and the parents and grandparents come in, work with the children in the gardens, work in the other areas of school as well, Sense Garden, Key Stage 1 banked area, and we plant, we weed, we show children mini beasts, all the different habitats. It's wonderful. They just absolutely love learning and being in the gardens.
And Stamford in Bloom, as we know, had a 30-year hiatus.
Yes.
And then it came back.
It did.
It got silver, and you've got an award as well
Yeah.
for this garden in conjunction with Stamford in Bloom. Have you been working with them for a few months then on various projects?
Yes, Anne approached, who coordinated Stamford in Bloom many months ago, and said how what they were doing around Stamford, and asked if we'd like to be involved. So she came down with her husband one day and showed her the gardens, and she was very excited. I went out with the eco group. We have an eco committee of about 25 children. They represent children from every class, and we did planting in a couple of areas in Stamford, and then Anne gave us some seeds which we then planted into our gardens, and we've been sort of in constant touch, trying to link together and work together and bring the whole community together, and working on various bits towards Stamford in Bloom. And as part of that, Anne suggested that we enter for the school's best garden, which we did, and we had a lovely lady who came down from Loughborough University. The children from the eco committee, they showed her around, and she asked them a lot of questions about sustainability, how we save water, how we water the gardens, our greenhouse made out of lemonade bottles, and the children just sold the gardens really. So I sort of took a step back, and they were amazing, and she wrote a report a few weeks later, and she was very, very, very pleased. It was a lovely report to read, and awarded silver. So we were ecstatic, very, very pleased with. So a lot of hard work goes into the gardens from the children and from parents and from staff. So to have that recognition, that was wonderful.
And do you think actually the way that Stamford in Bloom, hopes to enter next year, you'll keep on with that?
Most definitely, yes. We're, as I say, each year we're trying to improve, trying to develop, and we've got ideas already which we want to move forward with. So yes, most definitely we'll aim for gold next year.
Rutland Radio.
So Matt, is there any way you can possibly sum up the culmination of where you are today and what's about to actually take place?
I just feel quite emotional. It's an amazing feeling, really, just to share this very special place with my family and friends and all the people that have helped us over the years.
And actually seeing all the supporters here today and all the people who've actually helped in some small way actually build the centre.
Yeah, absolutely. Without them, this place wouldn't be here, and the dream wouldn't have become true.
So what happens from now? I mean, obviously you've already had people in, and you've already got a physio who's absolutely packed in her schedule.
Yeah, we've got people in. We're seeing people benefit from the foundation and the centre on a daily basis. And Josie's input is massive. Our physio, and we're seeing people we're changing people's lives on a daily basis, not just the beneficiaries, but also their families as well.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Dr. Hilary Jones, lovely to see you here at Borough on the Hill. You weren't a face I was necessarily expecting today, but obviously, you're synonymous with the medical profession. But how long have you known Matt?
I've known Matt a few years. He read my book in which I talk about things which have moved me in the past, and in my book I mentioned 2 rugby players. One was Matt and one was another guy who had a similar injury to Matt, devastating injury, and just couldn't come to terms with it and decided that he couldn't live like that. Matt, on the other hand, said, I'm going to get busy living, and made the opposite choice. And he struck me as an amazingly inspirational guy. And he'd read this in my book and contacted me and said, would you be interested in reading my book? I took his book on holiday and read it in one day cover to cover and was blown away by it. His courage, his humour, his humanity. And I got in touch with him and we met up, and we've been mates ever since. And it's a privilege and an honour to come to this fantastic achievement that he's made for the Get Busy Living Centre. And I think it'll do fantastically well, because there's a huge void for people who have been seriously injured, either in sport or through any other activities, and they need psychological help as well as the obvious physical help that they get. And I'm just so humbled by what he's achieved in recent years. It's just an amazing achievement.
He is so incredibly humble.
Yeah.
In terms of what people have actually helped him with and helped him to actually get this together.
I mean, I think his character, his fantastic personality has enabled him to beg, steal and borrow, and people have donated willingly. So the land, I gather, was donated by a local farmer, which is just fantastic. Everybody here is really signed up for this. And they're lovely people, and it really does, in a world that is changing and stressful increasingly. It's just such a privilege, and it's so encouraging to meet like-minded people who want to make a difference, and they will. For anyone injured seriously in sport or anything else, they can take succour in the fact that here's a place that will really look after them and encourage them to do amazing things like Matt has.
Rutland Radio.
My name is Liz Cavill-Taylor, and I'm the ambassador for school readers for Leicestershire and Rutland.
Can you just tell me a bit about your role and what you do, how you get children reading in schools?
School Readers was founded 5 years ago because, surprisingly, we have a real literacy problem in this country. 1 in 4 children at the age of 11 fail to reach the expected reading standard.
Before they leave primary school and going into secondary school, you presume that children can read, but it's not always that simple.
No, and a quarter of the children in this country are failing that standard, which presents problems as they enter secondary schools because they can't access their education.
Why do you think that children can't read as well? Is it a problem with the education system? Are children not reading enough?
Things have changed in society, and a lot of children are their first language isn't English, so that can be a problem. Both parents are often working, so when parents come back, they're tired, and there is less time to give that one-to-one attention to children. Historically, we would have read with our children when they went to bed, but with less and less time.
Technology as well these days, they might not turn to books.
Technology is a big issue, yes. Of course, technology is a huge draw for children, and it's that seems to be taking children's attention away from books.
What can we do then? What can we do to get children reading in schools and practising their reading and finding reading fun?
The one-on-one attention seems to be something that children are really enjoying. So School Readers' aim is to support children at primary school level to improve their literacy levels. And the way we're doing this is putting volunteers into schools that want to be involved with the programme. Currently we have 7,000 children being supported on a weekly basis. So in Leicestershire, we currently have 270 children being supported. But we have 47 schools waiting to start and waiting for volunteers. In Rutland, we have 170 children being supported. And again, we have 3 schools waiting to enter the system. So we're definitely needing volunteers.
So what if someone wants to be a volunteer, is there any specific requirements?
The only requirement is that, or the requirements are, you enjoy reading and you have a reasonable fluency, and that you can give maybe 2 hours in a regular pattern during the academic year. On average, I think our volunteers will give about 2 or 3 hours a week on a regular day, and they will have regular children that they support. So they're building a relationship with that child during the year.
And hopefully then get them more fluent in their reading so that they can progress in their academia.
Exactly, yes. And the interesting thing is that a lot of the volunteers that are putting themselves forward are retired, and they're really enjoying this new involvement with a school community and young people, and they're finding it really rewarding.
Oh, good. So yes, it can work in both ways. It's rewarding for the child and it's rewarding for the volunteer as well.
Please do go to our website, which is www.schoolreaders.org, or do ring our telephone number, which is 01234 924 111, and we will talk you through how to become a volunteer, and you can see whether it's something that would suit you.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. Now, this weekend is something that I didn't realise when we first talked about it would become an annual event. We're talking about the Musicathon, and Harriet Flather is leading it. Now, last time you tried to... You invited lots of people that you knew, music-wise, and you almost played the whole thing yourself as well.
Yeah, that's right. It was 6 hours. We had 50 musicians, over 50 musicians actually, and we had 200 people through the door, which was above and beyond my expectations. We also raised almost £900, which was, I mean, just incredible. I still can't quite believe it.
And it was the start of your pledge, really, to raise as much as you could to help dementia.
Yes, yeah. So last year was the launch of my campaign to raise £5,000 for Dementia UK. So far, the total is about 1,500. So I'm hoping that this Saturday can really boost it.
And again, it's 6 hours of live music that kind of follows on from each other. Tell us who's involved.
A lot of new faces. So we've got the Rutland Big Band are back actually this year. I will be playing again. We've got the Oakham Show Choir, Jordan Poole, Rebel Soul are playing, I think maybe their 3rd or 4th gig. And yeah, lots of others. I can't remember them all off the top of my head.
And it's a chance really for people to just drop into Oakham Castle and enjoy a bit and donate some money.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no tickets. You just drop in, drop out. You can stay for as long as you like. But yeah, donations are obviously very welcome.
And as far as if people can't get there on the day, obviously it'd be brilliant if they can. But if they can't, you can actually pledge online to help your cause.
Yep, yeah, I've got a Just Giving page. If you Google £5,000 for Dementia UK, it should pop up.
That's a bold thing to even started doing. This obviously is something that's personally close to you.
It is, yeah. I don't quite know where the 5,000 figure came from, but I'm excited to get there. No, my grandmother had dementia, and I know that as a family, if we had even really known that Dementia UK existed and all that they do, we would have benefited hugely.
We look forward to seeing a whole load of live music in Oakham Castle. I mean, what a venue as well.
Oh, it's amazing. I love playing there. When I play the harp there, I sound so much better than at home.
And it's harp for you this week, because I know you have a variety of instruments you could draw on.
Yes, it is harp. I'm doing a set in the morning and then a set in the afternoon, all about my grandmother actually, and then playing with a friend later on, and then I will also be playing saxophone with the big band.
Harriet Flather, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio again. So the Musicathon is back this Saturday between 10 and 4 and raising money for Dementia UK. Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.